Hi everybody, thank you for joining us. I'm Philip Duncan. Well, we're tracking Cyclone Gita now as it starts to turn more towards New Zealand, heading in a south to southeast direction over the next day or so. This is the latest satellite map out in the middle of the Tasman Sea, New Caledonia to the north, Australia to the west, and the very top of New Zealand there at the bottom of the screen. On the animated wind map, you can very clearly see the storm out in the Tasman. The humid airflow coming down across New Zealand is certainly being felt now. High levels of humidity, and for some places it's going to get even more humid as the storm comes in. This is the latest tracking from the Joint Typhoon Warning Centre from the US government. You can see Category 2 status as it comes in. Technically though, it will become an extratropical cyclone. That's a technicality. It still is a storm. In fact, it doesn't lose storm status and is downgraded until those gale force winds that are sustained around the centre disappear, and that doesn't happen until Wednesday. So it comes in about Category 1 equivalence in that northwestern corner of the South Island. That's what we think. So this is the midnight map. Now there's an area of rain that precedes the storm. It'll be affecting the southern part of the North Island. That's good news for the areas that are in drought. But the bad news is the rain that's settling in around the top part of the South Island is likely to become quite intense over the next 24 to 36 hours. In fact, there could be 200 to 300 millimetres of rain around the ranges of the South Island over the next couple of days as Gita moves through. So midnight tonight, still very humid in the north, maybe a few showers appearing. This line of rain developing around Cook Strait, so the lower North Island, the upper South Island. But the windy stuff, the stormy stuff, that is still out at sea at midnight tonight. Then we get through to 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can see that area of rain. This is the precipitation rate per hour. And as you can see in that red zone, you're talking about 30 millimetres per hour. So that's getting pretty heavy through that central part. A lot of that is out at sea, but it will be drifting slowly in towards the upper South Island. And even tomorrow morning, the worst of the weather is still out at sea. Now to lunchtime Tuesday. We're starting to feel the winds moving in now. It'll get blustery around northern parts of New Zealand. We might even see gales developing around Auckland and Northland for a time, but you are mostly on the outer edges of the severe weather. Most of that is around this middle part. We'll show you that in a moment in a bit more detail, but you can see the rain very heavy around the upper South Island, and that is still ahead of the cyclone, which doesn't come in until the end of Tuesday, and there's even more rain associated with that. So this is 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. Apologies if the graphics are a little bit pixelated, but I wanted to show you this one. There's the North Island and the South Island. This is where the centre of the storm will be at 4 o'clock on Tuesday, we think at this stage. The areas in purple around the middle, those are the damaging, destructive winds, and they are made worse as they hit the mountains and ranges. So it comes in as a very strong northeasterly. That's why people along the west coast, certainly north of Hokitika, are concerned about damage potential as those northeasterlies really roar up and ramp up. So the winds through the mountains and ranges can be stronger than what the storm was out at sea. So we're likely to see some very strong gusts. The areas in red, you see that's the most likely area to see severe weather from the winds, but they could extend beyond that. That's just where we think the worst will be, but they could go further afield, certainly as brushing that northern part of the country as well. 6 o'clock Tuesday evening, you can see that centre coming in closer to the northwestern side of the South Island. The rain, very heavy, tropical now. You see that red circle? That basically means tropical air is coming down, very warm, moisture-rich air. Therefore, the rain is heavy and torrential at times. There could be flooding and slips. The winds are very strong. We could be seeing gusts to 150 kilometres an hour along the ranges and mountaintops. It could go above that even as the storm comes in. But in the north, you just got a period of rain, gusty winds, and they'll start to actually ease as we head in towards the evening. And this is midnight Tuesday. And there's quite a big change happening. The low is developing into two centres. There's one over here on the west, and then there's another one over here in the east. The bulk of the rain is pushing out to sea, but the big strong southeasterly behind it could be gale force, could be damaging at times for that upper northeastern corner of the South Island, like Kaikoura. That area there could get very strong winds for a time, with rain coming in as well. In the north, it's warm and humid, but it's not quite so stormy. The worst of it does appear to be around the South Island. And once we get to lunchtime Wednesday, there's an even bigger change. You can really see how it's split apart into two pieces. So it's gone from being a storm to being a rain event. That's what changes on Wednesday. The rain continues, might still be very windy in some parts of the mountains and a bit blustery along the coastlines, but it's very much a rain event focused around Canterbury, we think at this stage, with this system in two pieces. And the North Island not really affected by it so much on Wednesday. There might be a few showers still coming through the drought areas, but most of the other places that have had a lot of rain lately are not likely to see very much on Wednesday. But on Thursday, you might get some in the North Island. That's that area of low pressure we just saw on the west coast. It drifts up around the North Island, more rain there for you. And here's the positive part, for those who are sick of the humidity, it comes to an end on Thursday. Maybe late in the day for some in the north, but you're going to feel that change coming through because this big high is starting to roll on in once we get to about the end of the week. So there we go, there's a lot happening. We'll update you again on Tuesday. Obviously Met Service will be issuing warnings pretty soon. Please keep up to date with those as well. There are the official warnings for New Zealand, so please do ensure you're going to the Met Service website for the more details. That is all from me. Weatherwatch.co.nz will be providing rolling coverage of this storm, so we'll have plenty of updates in our newsfeed as well. That's all from me. We'll update you again on Tuesday.